Right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode. We're currently doing a 5-week series on mental health and being an entrepreneur, which we know is kind of a unique journey. And this is episode 2 in our series. We've called it Staying Lit. And we have with us Carol, who does amazing things for entrepreneurs. And we're so excited to have her on this week. She's going to talk to us about staying organized, but also staying motivated, really. And I'll let her kind of tell us a little bit more about what she does.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Claire and Crystal. I'm really excited to be here because what I know is that if you're here in this Facebook group, you're a female entrepreneur. And what I know about female entrepreneurs is we wear a lot of hats. And it's easy to get downtrodden and confused and disorganized and forget why it is you did this in the first place, which is a lot of times why we lose that motivation, right? Which is why we have this stay lit thing going on, right? So what I do is I help busy female entrepreneurs get out of their own way so that they really can do what it is they started out doing, or pivot, realize that's not what they want to do what they want to do anyway, and have the business and life of their dreams. Now, is it impossible? Well, I didn't say it wasn't hard, but it's definitely possible. And it actually is easier than you think. So that's what I do.
I love it. And do you, I guess, so when you're first starting out and you're talking to someone, or what are like common themes that you hear, or something that's kind of repeatedly pops up no matter what business they have or what they're working on? Like, I'm sure we all have things that kind of in common, I guess, as we're on our journeys, even if we're running different businesses.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. A lot of times I hear, I just want life balance. I actually hate that, just honestly.
Whatever that means.
That's what people tend to want, the elusive life balance. You know, I get that a lot. Or often I know what to do, I just don't do it. Like, why can't I just do it? Like, I get that a lot. I get a lot of because I usually work with people that have been in business for a little while, and they're like, gosh, I've been trying a lot of things. I just keep hitting this like invisible like plastic wrap, and it's like I don't know what's the matter with me, you know. And the other thing is, well, I can't just focus on one thing because I'll get bored, you know. And that's actually something that happens a lot, whether or not you have ADHD. It doesn't matter, because as entrepreneurs, there's so many serial entrepreneurs that want to have their hands in a lot of pots, and sometimes that's a good thing. And sometimes that's really not a good thing, because that lack of focus, if you have 3 or 4 businesses, plus you have a family, plus you're trying to stay fit, plus you're trying to do meditation or whatever, that's basically a recipe for burnout. So if you're 25, awesome. But most people I work with are not 25. They've been around the block a few times, and they're tired. Often they're burned out. Often they have health issues. Like, one woman I started working with, she's like, yeah, last year, basically they said I better move, I better start walking again, because I'm getting blood clots, and basically those are fatal. That's the kind of thing that sometimes can happen. And I like to get people before blood clot level or death, ideally.
Yeah, definitely you should get them before death.
I mean, I would hope so, because if you get them after death, they're not paying.
It's just hard.
It's just bad business.
I like to keep it light, I mean, it's serious business, having your own business, and we have to stay laughing, because if we didn't stay laughing, go get a job.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And I've heard before, it's like you left your 9 to 5 just to create a 9 to 5 for yourself. And that was, sometimes even if you're your own boss, you can end up creating a job for yourself, maybe when you didn't mean to.
Or 9 to 9.
Or 9 to 9.
Or 9 to midnight. Because the thing is that's what happens a lot of times. Yeah. People believe that they're working their own hours. But the truth is that from 3 to, maybe 8, or 9, they have the kids, and then they're up till 2 in the morning. They're exhausted when they wake up again. And oh my gosh, and hitting the snooze alarm and everything else like that. Well, they may believe that they're doing a great job and it's all working out for them, but it's not long before that needs to turn around.
What's your number one advice for someone who is struggling with burnout but can't necessarily, like, you can't walk away, it's your business?
Yeah.
What would you say is like your top tip that they could do tomorrow?
The top tip that they could do tomorrow, believe it or not, is breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe in 6, hold 6, and breathe out 6. And do that 3 times. Right? Crystal's like, yep.
You're doing it right now, Crystal?
I'm telling you what, because everybody has 2 minutes to breathe like that. Just that will actually calm you down to the point where you can at least think straight again. But if it's true burnout, you really do need to do full-on self-care. And you're right. It's hard to just walk away. So, but sometimes you have to, because I was talking to another coach, and he said, when you don't listen to the universe, usually it hits you with a 2x4. So a lot of people will get sick, and they'll get the flu, and they'll get these crazy diseases that they didn't know existed, and so on and so forth. And you know what that is? Is that you were not listening to your body, to your mind, to your partner, to, your friends. And, oh no, I got this. Well, sooner or later, you don't got this anymore. And that's what happens. So something very simple would be breathe. Something very, very simple would be, set your alarm for every single hour, stand up and walk around for 5 minutes. Don't be glued to your desk, So that's some things.
That breathing actually feels really good. That's actually that's a great exercise. I'm chill now. I'm ready for a nap.
I like the stand-up thing too. I just got one of those like standing desks, and it does help to even just like change your position or
huge
sitting or
huge.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I know for me, what's really, really helped, and I struggled staying motivated, right? Last week, we talked about how deep my depression had been and how hard it was. Giving yourself consistency in your schedule. Like Claire and I have talked about it all the time in your marketing, and consistency. If you do the little bitty step of saying every morning, whether it's a weekend or not, I'm going to get up at this time, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that. Consistency is freaking amazing. It is unbelievable. And if you're not following Barn Sante yet, you need to. One of the best pieces of advice that I ever got is actually from her. And, she said it literally takes you 5 seconds to make a decision that could change your life, your habits, everything about your day. So when that snooze button goes off in the morning, make a fast 5-second decision. I'm not going to hit that button. Because what you do is you're telling yourself, well, it's okay if I start my day out procrastinating, because then I'll continue to do it. So for me, it's been huge just to say, I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm going to stick to a schedule. I'm going to stick to a task list. I'm going to go to the gym every day. I'm going to eat this. Tremendous what that does for you to help keep you motivated.
Yeah, I love that, Crystal. And just to build on that, one of the big resistances I will often get at the beginning is, oh, well, I don't have a strict schedule. I don't like to be stuck on a schedule or, an agenda. And what I'll say is, okay, great, fine. And over a time, when I work with somebody, what they'll find is just the opposite is true. Just like you said, Crystal, it's like routines set you free. So rather than a schedule, I really say, what is your routine? What's your morning routine? What's your evening routine? What's your beginning of the week routine? What's the end of the week routine? And we start building these building blocks of habits that become just like brushing your teeth. Because especially with the people that I work with, which are entrepreneurs with ADHD, now the ADHD, what happens is every little decision is hard. Like, oh, well, wait, I'm going to have a cup of tea. Should I have the Earl Grey? Should I have the lemon zinger? Or, like, really, like everything becomes this big difficulty. So that if you kind of like everything from, I know this sounds crazy, but everything from laying your clothes out the night before can happen. Like if you're got to go do something, taking a minute at the end of your day to say, what do I have tomorrow? And you don't have to go through everything else all perfect, but just to kind of know ahead of time, oh yeah, that's right, I have a meeting first thing. Normally I just go to my home office, but I have this networking meeting or whatever it is you're doing in the morning. Oh, wow, yeah, that means for sure I got to get the kids up at such and such a time. Oh, I better make the lunches the night before. Like all that, the night before thing is huge. So routines, because actually they set you free. And the more you can set your brain free, I mean, the beautiful part about being an entrepreneur is we get to be creative. And when we're stuck with worrying, like, oh my gosh, where did I put that? Goes into the organizational stuff. Where did I put that? That person's phone number that I was supposed to call back, or their email, or whatever it was. Or, oh, that's right, I met somebody in a networking meeting on Monday, and here it is Friday. I was gonna email them, and you forgot. And should I do it now? What do I say? And what was, like, it just goes from bad to worse. So routines, very important.
Well, I'm definitely a believer in that. And, every morning for me, it's don't procrastinate. You you're conscious about making that decision. And hopefully eventually it will be just natural instinct that it's no longer a habit to procrastinate. But Carol, what advice do you give people that are they struggle because they don't know how to get started and they don't know how to keep the momentum going? So what do you do if you procrastinate a lot?
I love that. I love that question. It's awesome. So first of all, just know that everybody procrastinates, right? And so the first thing to do usually with procrastination is, besides some of the big head stuff, which I'll be happy to talk about and really love to talk about, quite honestly, is I say when we talk about momentum, just do one thing. And and people put all these brick walls in front of them, like they put boulders in front of them, right? So I'll say, all right, what's one thing you can do? Well, what about a little bit? I said, what about just a pavement change? If you were to walk one step closer to, I'll use one, like, I don't know what to post on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Crystal says I have to post, three times a week or 4 times a week or whatever. I'm just making this up. Well, all right. Well, what's one step you could do? Well, I could, Crystal says I have to look into buffer. I'm making this all up.
Yes,
Great.
you are.
So I have no idea. What it is, right?
It's for the example.
Just for the example. You probably don't tell people that. So, but like, it's one thing would be, okay, all right, I'll use a different example.
No, I'm just teasing. Go with it.
I've got to write a proposal. Oh, and that's a big one, right? Because we're worried it's not going to come out right. It's got to be, these 2 pages, and it's to the CEO, and it's where, just write the outline. Well, just set your timer for 15 minutes and just sit down. Do it badly, do it wrong. Those are things I say. Do it badly, do it wrong. Have an accountability partner, because usually what happens is once you get the ball rolling, it rolls. And you got to just keep it going. So that's the action side of it. And the other part of procrastination, if we're talking about procrastination, the reason people don't do stuff in procrastination is usually fear. So in the case of the proposal, they might have some voices in their head saying they're not good enough. They'll never pick me. Why would they pick me anyways? They'll think it's stupid. I never get this stuff anyway. This is a waste of time. I don't like those people. You name it, it'll happen, because there's all these voices in our head. And when we realize that this fear exists, then suddenly we have now power over our fear instead of our fear having power over us.
Which is so true. I mean, I would think that, I know that I've done that before, but I would guess if everyone in this group is being honest with themselves, they have been in fear that what I'm outlining to them isn't good enough, or
right.
What if they take this and I'm not good enough to achieve it?
Right. Well, it's that whole like imposter syndrome. I feel like that where it does creep in, and you're you get to that point where you're like, am I even qualified to be doing it? Even though you are.
Yep.
When I think especially too, when you work from home or you work by yourself or you run your business with a very small team, there's no one to kind of counterbalance that as well. And it does. We can be our own worst enemies sometimes. I really like what you said about the decision fatigue, because I know for me too, like as I manage my household for my family, and I also manage my business, and I don't have ADHD, but sometimes it's just the overwhelming amount of decisions that you're making in any given day for so many different people can get really overwhelming.
Yeah, it's a lot. So so those are some of the things in the background that can really hold you back. And I definitely work with people on that stuff, because what we've got to do at the baseline is work on, okay, what are you going to replace that belief that, like, even if I get the project, I won't know how to do it, or it won't come out right, or, like there's actually fear of getting the project. It's like fear of success. Sometimes worse than fear of fear. And you have no idea. In that moment, all you know is all of a sudden you really have to take a nap. Or all of a sudden you really have to go do that errand because, your partner has been asking you for a long time. Well, I really have to write that proposal, but, my husband's been asking me, or my wife's been, like, you know what I mean? Like, or, oh yeah, I really have to write that email instead. And all you know for sure is you're procrastinating.
Yeah. Suddenly my refrigerator needs to be deep cleaned.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big procrastination.
Yeah. If you really want to do something, you will. But if you really don't want to do something, you won't. It's
really true.
100%. It is a mindset shift. And I love the phrase that you said, Carol, of do it badly.
Do it badly.
Yeah, I like that too.
And I like it so much because it's a lot like, was it Wayne Gretzky that said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take?
That's right.
Right? In life, do it. I love do it badly.
Do it badly. Do it wrong. Mess up. One of my favorite these days, one of my favorite self-help people is Kyle Cease, and he wrote a book called "I Hope I Mess This Up." I hope I screw this up. It's like, because so many people, like Wayne Gretzky, it's like they sit in the background and I'm not sure, and or if they are, they kind of give this little half thing, and it's like, get out there, do it badly, do it wrong, risk messing up, because that's part of being an entrepreneur. If you don't want to risk messing up, you're in the wrong business. Go get a job.
Yeah, there's a lot of risks that we all take, for sure, and it's really enlightening to hear you say these things, because it should be resonating with so many people watching this, that the hustle that we make and all the risks we take are part of the reasons we have so much fear-based objections, and the objections are the things that hinder our personal and our professional progress, and it's a very big circle.
Yeah, and so many times the things that we say have a lot of truth to them. So, for example, well, I don't really have the money to buy a new computer, even though you need one, or whatever it is. And it's like, yeah, and if you really need one, and if you're serious about your business, you will, and you will figure out the financing. Because if you don't have a good computer, heaven knows you're not going to really, you're not going to go anywhere, because you need the technology. That's just an example. So, yeah.
But it's a good one. I mean, it is, realistically, you look at what we've all seen it, right? You hear people say, well, I can't afford to do this. And then 2 days later on Facebook, they're going to Greece. I'm like, I thought you couldn't afford a sandwich. Like, you're going to Greece.
I'd go to Greece over a sandwich.
Well, I know. Me, but it's a priority thing. So if we teach our brains to prioritize things differently, what you're saying, Carol, is that if you teach yourself and coach yourself to prioritize things in a healthier and more efficient manner, the result is us staying lit, baby, right?
Yeah. And the way to reprioritize is to line up your actions with your values. So tomorrow night, I'm going and I'm speaking in front of a woman group, and we're going to do, they don't know it yet, but we're going to do a values exercise. So everybody's going to get a little baggie of words, we're going to sit down, and we're going to have 3 things that they're going to, I haven't, cut all these up, but if you can see this, it says important to me, less important to me, and not important, or whatever. Yeah, important, less important, and very important. And so those will be the 3 columns. And then as quickly as they can, they're going to take all these words and put them all in these lines. And then we're going to have some levels of cut. And so at the end, all they're going to wind up with is the very important to me's. And then within that, they're going to cut it down, because the truth is that when we're clear and we're simple and we really know what's important, it doesn't matter what's important to me or to you, Crystal, or to you, Claire, because if you're, Barbara over here that, really values power, for example, and, somebody else says, oh, you should just be more patient or whatever, and she doesn't value patience, well, then she's not going to do it. If I said to her, Barbara, you should really value patience more, and she's going to be like, screw. So that doesn't work. You have to, right?
Yeah.
See, what you have to do is honor what you really like and what's really true to you, and make your actions line up with that. And then even better if your work lines up with that, because when we can be all aligned, then it's actually effortless. Then you've probably been in this. You've been in the flow of things. It's so easy to do stuff. And you've been in the other place where it's like, it feels weird. It's like you're unaligned, you're like, you got to go to the chiropractor. You're walking around funny, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that. And that's when you procrastinate, because the truth of the matter is you don't want to do the thing, whatever it is. So it's better not to do it. Go for a walk, talk into your phone, be like, I don't know why I don't want to do this, and just start blabbering and see what comes out. Record it. You'll be amazed. And the more you do that stuff, the more you realize that you are your own destiny. If you don't like to do something, get out of the business of being an entrepreneur. If you don't like bookkeeping, hire a bookkeeper. Whatever you don't like, I say work in your zone of genius. Do what makes your heart sing, because the world needs more people that do what make their heart sing.
I can't argue with that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What about there are some younger members in the group, and there are some newer entrepreneurs in the group.
Mm-hmm.
So there are going to be young women watching this that they may not know what makes their heart sing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There are people in the group that are still we're all still figuring these things out. I'm not saying that the 3 of us,
oh yeah,
have all of our stuff together. That's not true. But what advice do you give to young people who are considering entrepreneurship, or they're really new in it?
Yeah.
And this is so overwhelming, is because they have so much to figure out.
Right. That's a great question. So a younger person that I know that I think is very wise and just starting out, he said, I'm following my interests so I can learn what my passions are. So you know what I mean? And when I first started out, I was at the seminar one time when a woman asked that question, like, what if I have multiple passions? And the answer from the speaker was, run at them all. Because the good news about being young is you can. Usually you're not strapped with, 3 kids, a mortgage payment, and all this other stuff. You really can be in that super fun, awesome, exploratory stage where you are trying to figure it all out. And what I would recommend is that periodically you find a supportive group where, maybe it's within this group, I don't know, where, it's like, hey, monthly, let's check in with ourselves. Like, where am I, what do I like? What do I not like? What's working? What's not working? Like that. So just have fun with it. It's all Play-Doh at the beginning, at least, and really enjoy it. And then after a little while, it's like planting a garden sometimes, where you put a lot of seeds in a lot of places, you water it, you see what grows. And after a little while, you're like, you know what? Gosh, I really like, the tomatoes over there. Instead of just the beets, the carrots, or whatever it is. and I'm going to plant more tomatoes because you know what? The tomatoes are profitable. I have 3 things. Do you love to do it? Is it profitable? And do your people really appreciate you? If those 3 circles are true, that I call it the green, 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 like right in that middle, that's the greeniest green. Do more of that and less of whatever doesn't light you up.
Okay, so it's a lot like, throwing a bunch of wet spaghetti at the wall and seeing if it sticks, right? If you're young, it's okay to do that to get into the flow.
Throw the whole pot.
Yeah,
if you're young.
Figure it out, because when you get older and you start to you don't want to be doing that forever, obviously. But I think that's great advice for young people, is to try.
Absolutely.
I also think, though, if you're 55 or 60 and you don't like what you're doing, you can still switch it up. So I don't think that's limited to age.
No, it's not. The only thing is like that there's more at stake.
In your,
and depending on where you are, there's just less of a buffer and there's less of a trajectory of time. So you're right, though, Claire. It's great for any stage, because the more we sort of shackle ourselves down, the less creative we are and the less free we feel, and the less likely it is, honestly, that we're going to really succeed. I mean, look at all the great people. They're an overnight success after 25 years of working their ass off.
Yeah.
And screwing up. So screw up, fail big, fail often, and fail hard. So looks like a note there.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean that there's a certain age when you have to stop doing that. I just meant that there's a certain point in your entrepreneurial life where you don't need to do that anymore. You may not need to do that often, right? That's the goal, is to get to some place where
absolutely
you know what you love to do. There's a passion there. Your values are in line. You know what works. That's because a lot of us have thrown a whole lot of spaghetti at the wall, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Very good.
Spaghetti.
Now I'm hungry.
I love it. Well, Carol, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
That was fun.
And all the valuable nuggets that you just dropped on us. And I think I really am glad we covered this topic, because I think it is really important. And I know this was a little bit brief because we're only doing about 30-minute sessions with this series, but Carol is in the group. So if you guys have questions for her, or you want to follow up on some of this stuff, or you feel like you're somebody that could benefit from this kind of assistance, I think we all could, then feel free to reach out to her.
Yeah, I'd be honored. And just send a message, tag me, send me a private message. I'm happy to help in any way I can. Thank you so much.
We will make sure to get Carol tagged in the comments of the video, and that it'll be really easy for everyone to reach out to her. And then if people have questions or you want to leave any comments or anything, you'll be right there. So it'll be super easy.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Have a great one.
Thank you. We'll see you guys back here next week.
Okay.